So having cut off those two tabs and filed everything out nicely and made sure it's all nice and flat, we'll come back to the tunnel top, just slide it over, make sure it goes over all the sections. You may have to just squeeze it in a little bit there. Now you'll see that you need to line your holes up down here. If your holes are slightly out, what you can do is you can just cheat a little by using your clippers here. Just take a little bit out and a little bit up there. Just gently knock that tab over and you can then align your holes. So we've got that on and we've got the holes lovely and lined up there. We're just going to put a couple of temporary fastening screws in, one there, and another two at the other end. Michael's going to go underneath and pass those through the access hole which we've dragged over the end of the jig. So we're going to take again the little podgy ball, just going to pass it through, just gently squeeze it, pull it up. Michael is going to try and get a bolt through. So, put it on. No need to really tighten it up, just finger tight will do at this stage, because more than likely we'll have to come back off. So, yeah, so just going to put on the other side. If I can go around there.
So the next thing we're going to fit on is the tunnel front, which is R8B.
So you notice we're at this end, at this stage, we've just left that slightly loose so you can pull it up. Now this is quite fiddly, so you have to try and get that on, push it in, down. Also, the front section should slide underneath the rear here, like so. Because as you'll notice, the top back here has got the pre-punched holes, but obviously this says time we're going to leave those. So what you'll have to do now, as you'll notice that this panel hasn't got any pre-drilled holes. So you're going to take your black marker and you have to reach inside, mark all the holes that are in your tunnel side, making sure you push that section down there, and again on the other side. Now you can pull that section out and drill the holes, and that can go back on. Now we come to put the scuttle top back into position. That's slotted in nicely.
Now we can locate the front hole here in the bolt.
Just maybe have to. if you find that your holes just don't line up, as long as they're not too far out, good idea just to when you drill through. You see they're pretty close, it's just a little bit out. Should do that section.
Now we can get some bolts in the tunnel front. The next thing we're going to build is the scuttle which goes across the top of the car. And you can see that we've got panel 6A and 7A that we glued together earlier. That's now set fast and well glued, and we can now use that. 7B and 5, which is the top of the scuttle. Now the first thing that we need to do is the same process as what we did on the rear panel. In bending up these teeth up to 90 degrees, like so. Do this all the way around.
When you're working on any major surface of the body that will be seen, make sure that when you put that surface face down on the floor or on a table, that there isn't any debris, nuts and bolts or swarf on that surface, because it will easily mark or scratch the aluminium.
Notice that the smaller panels on the underneath, and you're actually bending the tabs upwards over the larger panel.
That's all those bent to 90 degrees. Now what we need to do is take the top of this scuttle.
You'll see there's two little cutouts here and here. Now you're going to bend across here, and the same at the other end here. I'll give you a little bit of advice. If you bend it, you see that the tab is roughly about 3 or 4 mil wide. And if you bend that as far out as you can, to give you the smallest lip that you can, here and here, the same on the other end, that'll give you a lot more room to get your panels in. Also at the same time, when you're bending those panels, I think you're going to have to bend that panel as well. Here and here. But, sorry, I do believe that that's going to be that way up, isn't it?
Yeah, that's that way.
Yeah, you're going to bend it here and here.
So we'll now bend those panels up and then carry on with the rest.
two or three things we're just going to do before we can start. After you've bent the tabs up, you're now going to bend your two tabs here and here. So I'm just going to improvise with this tool that we made earlier. You're going to line it up. You can see there's two cutouts, so you want to align parallel with those two lines. You're going to bend that up nice and sharp up. After you've done that, really before you start assembling your scuttle, you want to be making your mind up which way round you do want your clocks to sit. And select either that way round or that way round. I think we're going to say that we're going to cut it that way, so we're going to cut those holes out there.
You have to realise that this will still always be the front face of the scuttle. You would just cut it from the eye and still have this as the front panel. You wouldn't actually have it that way around.
So I think you're probably just going to do that in the same manner as you drill the hole in the front of the car. If you remember, drill the hole inside and then jigsaw around either hole, either that way around or that way around, depending on which you want. So we'll assume that we've already drilled those out, just for speed. And you're going to get your panel, turn it around. Now you see on the scuttle top, you've got a little nib here. You can also see that on the centre of this face you've got another little nib, so you'll align those up just like that.
Then what we're going to do is roll the scuttle up like that until you're in the centre of that arch.
So you can see your centre of your form is going to be there. So just draw a line on there. So you can see we've got the centre of this radius here. So we're going to mark a line there. You don't have to be fantastically accurate with this. It's it's nothing.
Then we're going to roll it back to the left.
Repeat the same
And
process.
notice that your nipple at the middle is still in line. So after you've marked the front, we're next going to take panel 7B, bend the teeth up 90 degrees.
When you're putting your bending tool on, just try and follow the shape of the blade.
Top again, and all we're going to do is get this onto the top like we did the other piece, so that we can get this, so you can get this roll, the roll of the scuttle, the same as this again. So we'll roll it to the left. These tabs correspond with each other, so you can't fail in getting it. You can't get it in the wrong place. So we'll roll it up like that.
So again, you're going to get your centre apex of that bend there, and you're going to mark a line from there.
Back the other way, to the other side. And that's, you've got your marks on ready.
See, you might want to just take a straight edge, just mark a line there, mark a line there. That'll give you two lines that we want to be making your radius to.
So now we're going to bend this and roll it to get the curve either side.
So we're going to pre-form it. This is quite a technical part actually. You do need to be careful. Try not to overbend it, and obviously make sure you've got a nice clean flat surface. Just put a little bit of pressure on. Can you see that handy okay here? So you're just going to put a little bit of pressure on with your hand here to hold it flat. You can take your panel and gently form it up into a roll. Now you're going to try and keep the line of your drum is obviously the centre of your apex, the centre of your roll. You're just going to try and emulate by eye the contour that you've got in your corners of your plate there. Then it's slightly over 90, and that should just come back. You might find that it doesn't quite want to be bent to 90 degrees, it'll want to just slope out a little bit. I'll show you that from a different angle in a moment. And you're going to repeat that on this side. See that handy, alright? And just gently peeling it up. You can just push down with a little bit of fair motion like that. Now remember that you don't want to put a great deal of force on this because it can kink. You just want to be aiming for a nice, smooth excellent. So you can see the shape that we're aiming for. We've got a gentle curve here and a gentle curve here. And as you can see, it slightly slopes in towards the back. It gets a little narrow at the back.
You can see that that's the shape that we formed, because that actually fits in there like so. And the same one on the back.
Come back. We'll start with the back right. There you go, grind your tabs just very slightly off the edge. You just have to manipulate the panel.
You can see that that's nice, it's in the centre. The centre tab lines up perfectly, that's great.
As you notice, before we start fixing this down, what we've done is we've really sanded the inside edge of this panel here and this panel here, paying particular attention to roughly about 20 millimetres in around the edge here. Then you can really sand all that section down. This is to, at a later date we're going to run some silicon sealer all the way around this, and it will be the same on the front edge, which we will show you later. But it is critical that you do sand it down first, and that will give you a good keying edge for your silicon sealer to really key into. So we get that panel roughly into position. Take pair of mould bits, similar. Line that first one there. Now just be careful not to tighten your mould bits up too tight, because you can dent your panel. I mean, you could put a little bit of tape between or whatever you wanted to. So clip that in about 15 millimetres in, just peel back the plastic a little bit. Now we are going to be riveting this panel together. We're going to be using the 3.2 by 12mm rivets. See them? Around about a 3.5mm drill. through there.
We'll drill that now.
You can see we're trying to get quite close to the edge there, to the front edge. This is so you can disguise it later. It doesn't encroach too far into your panel.
We'll now pop root this from underneath. Which will be at the top of the football.
Take the next tab, pull it forward. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're trying to align these tabs. This will position your panel exactly where you want it. So just peel back the plastic again. First panel in. Now spin it round. To fit the now. So we'll drop that in. Now you may find that you've bent it just, slightly and not be perfect, so what you do is you can just manipulate it around. First, that's not going to be too bad, I don't think, now. And actually, one thing that we did forget to mention is that this panel will lean slightly forward.
So these are what bending.
So you want to bend them slightly over 90. You can just manipulate your panel around to fit.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's good. So we'll just flip that over. Get that centralised with your two little locating pins there. Right, so starting with the centre one, just peel back the plastic slightly. Pinch that up. And then you would come in with your 3.5mm drill. Better on this edge especially that you're going to try and get your hole really close to the front. So you want to just bend back your panel slightly. You see I've gone about 5mm in there. So later, when you come and push your edge trim on, that will actually cover your rivets, because that will be a visible part of your car at a later date. So we're going to move a couple of tabs up, make sure it's still in line, peel back the plastic again. You're going to repeat that process all the way down onto all your tabs. So now we've riveted the bottom tabs that are on the front of that to the scuttle. We're now going to have to bend this scuttle section here, but we're not going to try and bend it 90 degrees with a sharp bend. What we want to be doing is trying to make roughly about 38-40mm radius, a nice radius. So just take your fingers and just prise it round like that. Keep it going all the way down. That was pretty good. Right. Tight it on my end. Just tweak it down. Right. As good as it's going to get, I think. So as you see, we've got a nice radius all the way down there. So now we're going to bend this little tab up here, right from this point here. We're just going to bend it again by hand. You want to be aiming for a nice radius again. That's looking pretty good. So it's now ready, the scuttle is now ready to go and try it onto your car. So before you can put your scuttle on, in front of the scuttle is also going to be your battery tray, which is intended that it's going to sit inside your car there, flush. This edge is going to be flush with your driver's footwell panel. And as you can see, the tunnel top front here doesn't allow for that, it's overhung slightly. This is intentional. What that is for is just if you have any difference in your panels or anything moves, obviously that can float around. So what we've done is we've took a straight edge, run it parallel with the driver's footwell panel, which is also parallel with the front end of the car. And what we're going to do, we're going to remove this panel and we're going to bend that lip down as you've done previously on your bench with a bit of wood and clamp it down, any sort of handmade tool. So we're just going to remove that. We're just going to go and bend it.
Right, having put the tunnel front back on, we're now, as you can see, drawing the scuttle in position. So what we're going to do here is line that point there, the back part of this cutout, line it up with where the side panel follows, and that is where the scuttle does actually sit. So when you put that there, and if it does, when you push it in to the level of the car, the side panel, so that both edges run flush. When those two edges run flush, there, as you can see, it should meet the tab on the inside.
So you've established then that your scuttle is 42 inches wide, which your car is your preset area. So if everything's okay, you can now drill the 3 tabs here and the same on the other side and rivet those 3 tabs.
So that's what we shall do now.
Okay. So we've established that the scuttle is the right width at this point, so we can now just gently clip those up. Just make sure they're in line with your scuttle, like we're going to drill in. Relatively close to your edge, so as I say, snap-on edge trim later will cover that.